Moin Moin Freunde, hier ist Sascha und ich begrüße euch heute zu einem neuen Overwatch-Video. Ja, gestern Abend hat Blizzard ein neues Developer-Update veröffentlicht, knapp 8 Minuten lang und bringt uns eine ganze Menge Zeug über Sojourn bei. Ich finde es super, dass wir momentan so viel von Blizzard bekommen und wir wollen uns heute das Developer-Update anschauen. Es gibt leider noch keine deutsch untertitelte Version. Ich mache für euch aber die englischen Untertitel an. Ich werde immer wieder anhalten, wenn es spannende Dinge zu berichten gibt, weil soweit ich schon gelesen habe, soll unter anderem ein neuer Cinematic geteasert werden und ja, das werden wir uns gleich anschauen. Für den Fall, dass ihr es noch nicht getan habt, Kanal abonnieren, lasst ein Like da, schreibt mir auch in die Kommentare, was ihr vom Developer-Update haltet. Für den Algorithmus, Freunde, ihr kennt das. Und ja, dann legen wir mal los.
Hello everyone, my name is Miranda. I'm a narrative designer on the Overwatch team.
My name is Jeff. I'm the lead hero designer on the Overwatch team.
And we're here to talk to you a bit about our new hero, Sojourn.
Oh, das ist übrigens was Neues, dass wir zum ersten Mal diese Mischung aus Miranda und Jeff Goodman haben. Beide, glaube ich, noch nie in einem Developer-Update bisher zu sehen gewesen. Auch wenn Jeff Goodman ja der Hero-Designer ist und so weiter. Spannend.
Sojourn. Engaging.
She's our newest DPS hero, and I figure I can kick us off by talking a little bit about her story. Sojourn is a hero who is obviously no stranger to combat. She got her start in the Canadian military and eventually was so successful there that she joined up with Overwatch. Fans will probably remember Sojourn from the Archives Storm Rising mission where she led a bunch of our heroes through.
Target in sight, Captain.
We've waited a long time for Maximilian to show his face.
Ja, wer sich erinnert, damals zum ersten Mal, ist es schon gefühlt, was ist 3 Jahre her, dass wir Sojourn zum ersten Mal gesehen haben, ist wirklich lustig, wie lange dieser Charakter schon im Hintergrund brodelt.
She is a captain in Overwatch who is very much respected by a lot of heroes in our cast. But something people might not know about Sojourn is that she actually had a pretty big role to play during the United Nations hearings that would eventually lead to Overwatch disbanding and being shut down. And after that happened, Sojourn eventually retired to her home in Toronto. As we know, Overwatch heroes and retirement don't necessarily agree with one another, so I'm very excited for everybody to learn a little bit about what she's been up to in the time after that.
Ja, da freuen wir uns alle drauf zu erfahren, was Sojourn quasi getan hat seit der Zeit, wo sie Overwatch verlassen hat. Das ist ja auch das, was so ihre Origin-Story ein bisschen geteasert hat.
We have a cinematic in development that I think people are really gonna love that goes into this a bit more. Sojourn is just a
Oha! Das wird einfach... Okay. Sekunde. Da müssen wir nochmal ganz kurz zurückspringen.
cinematic in development that I think
Hier sehen wir Szenen aus dem Cinematic, also natürlich in seiner Reihenform, das wird natürlich noch als aufpoliert, aber endlich wieder ein Cinematic, der uns erwartet, Freunde. Ich bin so hyped, der letzte war Zero Hour und das ist ja mittlerweile auch schon wieder 2 Jahre her und jetzt irgendwie privates Sojourn mit ihrem Hund, der sehr putzig aussieht.
people are really gonna love that goes into this a bit more. Sojourn is just a brilliant tactician, a great leader, and I can't wait for everybody to get the chance to meet her. Jeff, why don't you tell us a little bit about her hero kit?
Sure. So we start working on the hero. We sort of have to pick an element to sort of surround the hero with. In the past, we've had some heroes rally around a weapon, especially in the early days, such as Widowmaker, sniper, Pharah with a rocket launcher, etc. So we really were looking at different weapon types we haven't explored yet in Overwatch. And I think the number one idea that came up that we all loved was this idea of a Railgun.
Ja, es ist natürlich spannend, was er uns hier erzählt, so wie quasi der Entwicklungsprozess auch hinter Helden stattfindet, dass Blizzard häufig einfach sagt, okay, wir haben eine Idee, wir haben ein Element, auf das wir aufbauen, wir haben eine Waffe, auf der wir aufbauen. Zum Beispiel bei Doomfist haben sie es häufiger mal erklärt, sie wollten einen Kerl haben, der einen Rocket Punch hat und darum hat sich dieses ganze Kit von Doomfist entwickelt. Und bei Sojourn ist es jetzt, hey, wir wollen eine Railgun ins Spiel bringen, also bauen wir das auf.
Railgun powered and ready to fire.
That was pretty much all that needed to be said. So try putting the typical railgun from other games in and just see how it goes. And turns out the ability to fire really accurate, high-powered shots just constantly, all the time, was kind of just a balanced nightmare and not really doable.
Kann man sich
We
vorstellen.
really liked the gameplay, and we ended up with her gun as it is now, which I'll go through her whole kit here right now. Her primary fire is actually like a rapid-fire spread of projectiles. It isn't a railgun, but it builds up an energy bar that you can...
Ja, ist jetzt nichts Neues, das haben wir jetzt schon ein paar Mal gesehen. Hier sehen wir nochmal das HUD ein bisschen, wobei ich glaube, das ist eine frühere Version des HUDs, weil in dem Material, was wir gesehen haben, sah das in der Mitte anders aus.
expend at any time to shoot a railgun shot off of your alternate fire. So
Weil hier ist es ja fast so, dass die Energie sich zuzieht und finde ich aber ganz gut eigentlich, dass du genau siehst, wann diese 100% erreicht sind für ihren Railgun-Shot.
you get that really powerful shot, but just not quite as frequently as a normal railgun. And once we got that in place, we, playing around with a lot of different other abilities that she could have that could complement this and what could make her really fun. And we were trying to capture sort of the really fun and fast play style of railguns in the past and other first-person shooters. So one ability we tried pretty early and actually
Ja, muss man sagen, Railguns meist wirklich in schnellen Spielen benutzt, zum Beispiel Doom. Viele werden Doom gespielt haben, das letzte, also Doom 2016. Oder Apex zum Beispiel gibt es auch eine Railgun. Also es ist so, Railguns werden meist in Spielen genutzt, so Quake, Doom, die sehr schnell sind. Und das versucht man natürlich hier ein bisschen zu emulieren. Finde ich eigentlich von der Idee her ganz nice.
just stuck with all the way through was her slide ability. And the way that works is she could just slide anytime she wants, any direction she wants. And it goes really far and really fast, and she can fire during all this. So you get these really cool moments where you can slide around a corner and try to finish somebody off or get that railgun shot off after you've built up the whole meter. Also, attached to this, you can jump during this slide and get like a super big jump off of it too. So in a lot of ways, you can get a lot of like vertical mobility out of this, jump on top of rooftops or over a wall. Pretty quickly on playtest, we got a lot of really cool like high flying shots, you know, jumping over a wall and surprising people with her full railgun charge and everything. So that really helps her get like, this really fast gameplay style. And then her secondary ability is called Disruptor Shot. This is a projectile that fires out and expands into sort of an energy field that can slow enemies that are caught in it.
Ja, das haben wir schon ein paar Mal gesehen, da haben wir uns auch schon ein paar Mal gefragt, wie das genau funktioniert. Wurde uns ja gestern mit dieser Infografik, da habe ich ja ein Video zu gemacht, auch erklärt. Slowt Leute, aber man sieht ja auch nochmal den Schaden über Zeit und welchen Radius das Ganze hat, auch interessant. Also da kannst du mit Sicherheit 2 oder 3 Reinhardts nebeneinander stellen.
And does damage to them if they stay inside of it. It's a really fun combination, especially because of that slow. You know, if you slide around a corner and drop a disruptor shot on people and they're trying to scatter and get away, but they're slowed, it makes it a lot easier to line up those really powerful railgun shots. Or a lot of times we'll see people do, like land a really good shot and then the person will get away with a little bit of health and they'll be around the corner and you like fire the disruptor shot around the corner and it kind of explodes around and takes them out. So there's a lot of really fun combinations with all of these the abilities to sort of create really fun moments. And then her ultimate is, you know, we were setting her ultimate. We had a couple different things we tried in the past. One of the original ones we tried was this big railgun shot that just went through the whole map. It was almost like an instant Hanzo Dragon ultimate.
Holy moly! Oh, ich bin froh, dass sie das nicht gewählt haben, weil guckt euch das nochmal an. Das war die Original Ult.
The original ones we tried was this big railgun shot.
Wow, stellt euch mal vor, das Ding wird durch Wände durchgehen. Du hättest, ja, bin ich froh, dass das nicht gewählt wurde.
That just went through the whole map. It was almost like an instant Hanzo Dragon ultimate. It didn't go over super well, so that one ended up getting cut. But what we ended up going with was, when we call it overclock, we all kind of fell in love with this. And the way this works is it kind of just turns on a mode where her energy is just constantly filling itself for her railgun. So she no longer has to fire their primary fire to fill it up. So she can actually just kind of fire a ton of railgun shots back to back to back for at least this limited window.
Hier sehen wir auch tatsächlich immer diese Unterschiede mit dem HUD, ne? Das ist das aktuelle HUD, glaube ich, was uns gezeigt wurde. Das ist die Frage, ist das aktuelle HUD oder das, was sich zuzieht? Aber wir sehen jetzt hier 2 unterschiedliche Versionen, theoretisch. Ich glaube, das ist das aktuelle.
So she can actually just kind of fire a ton of railgun shots back to back to back for at least this limited window. Even though earlier I said it, you know, it's pretty overpowered just to be able to shoot a railgun all the time. Well, I mean, for that limited amount of time, she gets to do it. So I think what we've seen in playtests is like she just takes a little bit of time to get used to, I think, the ebb and flow of when you should use your railgun shot and when you're not. But man, she's a ton of fun, we see.
Yeah, absolutely. Something that I think is really interesting about Sojourn's abilities is that all of them are sort of derived from her cybernetics. She kind of reminds me a lot of Genji, who is similarly a very cybernetics-based hero. Sojourn has had you know, a ton of her body replaced with these cybernetic parts, both out of necessity at certain points in her life, but also in some cases out of her own interest, which, like, I imagine the rocket legs were probably something she thought were pretty fun. And I agree. But I think that it's really cool, not only from a story perspective, but from her gameplay, because so many of her abilities actually come from within her, like her disruptor shot.
Das stimmt, also sie bauen halt viel von dem Kit auch in den Charakter und die persönlich. Finde ich interessant, also überhaupt diese ganze Cybernetics-Sache. Also da hoffentlich kriegen wir deutlich mehr Lore noch zu.
Power slide, obviously. Even her overclock is a function of her cybernetics, and I think that's very exciting. So
yeah, that actually reminds me when we were first coming up with what her kind of visual look would be. And I remember one of these meetings we were talking about her disruptor shot, how that was going to come out. You know, there were a lot of ideas about Should it, be a throne, or should it be something that comes out of her wrist or something, kind of like Farah's concussive rocket? But I remember we were in this meeting looking at all these ideas from the animation pit, and there was kind of like a last one. It was like, we did all that. Here's some crazy stuff. We have these crazy ideas too. And it was like, the first one was like what we ended up going with, which is like the full arm, like hand that comes out of her, and I was like, oh my, wow. Like, yeah, so that was it. Actually, sort of like wowed everybody in the room. We're like, okay, we're doing that.
Yeah,
that's
I
great.
don't want to see the other ones.
Yeah, exactly. So that was fantastic. We've gotten some play on her already in the alpha, and the feedback has been fantastic. And once we get the beta rolling, which is coming up pretty soon, I think we're going to get this many more people in there and get a lot more eyes on it. And I think you guys are really going to love her.
Yeah, I think it's really cool to see people actually getting their hands on her, because it's one thing for all of us to play it, but it's another thing entirely for a broader audience to play. So yeah, I'm really excited for people to get a chance to play her. I'm really excited as well to see how she sort of relates and fits in with the larger cast of heroes in Overwatch. The amount of established relationships that we get a little bit of insight into. She is somebody who kind of reminds me of Ana. So Ana obviously was our first new hero, and even though she was a new hero, she had so many relationships existing with our hero roster that she felt very natural. And I think Sojourn's pretty similar. Obviously, she was a member of Overwatch, so she has a lot of connections there that she plays on all through her kit and her voice lines. And I think people are going to have a ton of fun digging into her connections, who she is familiar with, who she's against. And I think it'll be really interesting for people to get a taste of her personality there. And I think something else that I know the rest of the team is very excited about is always adding new voices to Overwatch. I think it's really cool and really awesome to expand our horizons in terms of what our perspectives are and the number of people we're representing in our game. So I really think that...
Ja, ist ja ein Punkt, den Sie schon bei dem Developer-Livestream angesprochen haben, diese Repräsentierung von möglichst jedermann, und das finde ich sehr schön. Das gelingt Blizzard tatsächlich in Overwatch auch relativ gut in meinen Augen.
This is something the team has been hoping for a very long time, and I'm really excited for everybody to get to meet her.
So that about wraps it up for Sojourn. We can't wait for you all to play her.
So, also was man hier sagen muss am Ende des Developer-Updates, das ist der Content, den ich möchte, Freunde. Das ist der Content, den Blizzard raushauen möchte. Das ist direkt, das ist schnell, das ist vermittelt Infos. Wir haben so viel über Sojourn jetzt erfahren. Wir haben so viel über die Entwicklung erfahren. Wir haben ein bisschen was über ihre Original Ult erfahren. Sie haben uns einen Teaser gegeben, dass ein Cinematic in der Mache ist. Hier so erste Szenen, die wir sogar sehen. Weiß ich nicht. Ich gehe fast davon aus, dass der Cinematic noch erscheint, bevor die Beta droppt, wenn ich hier spekulieren darf. Sorry, die Katze im Hintergrund. Die hat einen Hund gesehen und jetzt hat sie Bock. Ja, richtig, richtig toll, was wir hier sehen. Und das ist einfach der Content. Davon sollte Blizzard mehr machen. Also wirklich. Natürlich ist es schön, wenn wir allgemein viele Sachen bekommen, einstündigen Livestream und so weiter. Je mehr Kommunikation mit der Community, umso besser. Aber ich finde es halt auch noch viel, viel geiler, wenn wir Developer-Updates bekommen, die sympathisch sind, die auf den Punkt sind, die uns Infos bringen. Und auch wenn wir jetzt vielleicht zum 5. Mal was über Sojourns Kit erfahren haben, trotzdem ist es unglaublich wichtig und gut.